Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, first and foremost, what the heck are you doing in a place like Davos?
Charles, I am bringing business back to Texas. I've had the opportunity to meet with so many business leaders here. They all know the Texas brand. They know the Texas model of low taxes, less regulation, tort reform. We have the right environment for business. And I've talked to CEOs from across the globe who are thinking about doing business in the great state of Texas.
Well, I get that you're there to promote the state, but it just feels like an odd fit because, you know, you're more of a, I just don't see you fitting in with those guys over there who are about, you know, big government, big taxes, but I understand a business angle. Let's talk about the oil situation because it's the #1 issue in the world right now. Obviously, Texas has sort of mitigated the impact of oil, but I don't know that enough that it's not going to dramatically hurt your state. What do you make of what's happening in the oil market?
Well, listen, the oil market is extremely predictable, Charles, in this regard, and that is that every decade in my adult lifetime there have been oil downturns like what we are seeing now. Oil is a pure commodity based upon demand and supply. You need to know this, though, and your audience needs to know this, and that is, as I talk to the business leaders from the United States and across the globe here at Davos, they're all very positive. They're all very upbeat. They all see very positive things for the future. And so what I think we're dealing with is a short-term downturn. But what I gather from the CEOs and business leaders here is that the future looks very bright. Not gangbusters, 2 to 5% growth, but at least it's growth, not a downturn.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, though, United Airlines had a bad earnings report, and ironically, they blamed the attack in Paris and oil. They're saying, hey, our Houston customers just not flying like they used to. So specifically, it is hitting your state hard. Does this argue for a better, sort of a more diversified economy? It's near term, it's got to concern you.
Well, Charles, we learned in the downturn in the 1980s the importance of diversifying, and that actually is one thing that I'm doing here at Davos. We are working on further diversification. One is with regard to the chemical industry. They actually do better when there's a downturn in the cost of oil and gas because their feedstock is a whole lot lower. We're working with regard to drug companies. We're working with regard to expanding healthcare. We're working with regard to technology. Texas, you will find, mark my words, in 5 and 10 years, Texas is going to be the home of innovation. Apple is opening its second largest campus in Austin, Texas. Oracle just announced they are opening a 27-acre campus in Texas. You're seeing dramatic growth in the tech sector, in the healthcare sector, and so we are diversifying our economy in the Lone Star State.
Governor Abbott, I want to talk about immigration here because you filed a lawsuit. You want to stop amnesty for illegal immigrants. Of course, you're on the opposite side of President Obama on this one. In the meantime, where you are in Davos, they just voted Germany the #1 country in the world, in part to their openness. Is there some sort of disconnect from what you want with regard to a heavy hand, strong, firm hand on immigration and perhaps what the business leaders over there want as well?
Well, it's two-part, Charles. One is my understanding that Merkel and other leaders in Germany are facing great backlash from their citizens because of the refugee situation. I've heard the same thing across European nations, and they're dealing with the consequences of open borders. But second, what I did in filing the lawsuit against President Obama with regard to his illegal executive amnesty order is he violated the Constitution of the United States of America. And don't take my word for it, take Barack Obama's word for it. He said 20 times he didn't have the legal authority to grant amnesty, and then he turned around and did exactly that. Understand this, and please, your listeners understand, the United States Constitution vests in the United States Congress, not the president, to make our immigration laws. And here we have the president rewriting the immigration laws unilaterally from the Oval Office. That is contrary to what the United States Constitution says.
Well, thankfully, the Supreme Court of the United States will give us an answer in this once and for all, and everyone's waiting for it because you're absolutely right. It feels like this is a strong abuse of executive power. But having said that, back to the immigration issue itself, I know in Houston, a large percentage of people under 30 are Hispanic or whatever. They're people who certainly have just come into this country recently. So where do you stand? Where does Texas stand? A border, a big wall, stronger vetting policies. Where do you stand, and where do you think is best for the state and the country?
You know, it's so funny, Charles, because people who are not from Texas or not from the border, they have one thought process about the Hispanic population in Texas and places like that that is completely wrong. understand where I come from, and that is my wife is the first Hispanic First Lady in the history of the state of Texas. I know the Hispanic community very well, and won almost half of it in my election as governor for one reason. And that's because the Hispanic community is not monolithic. They don't all believe in one particular thing. Most of them believe in what you and I believe in. And they believe in jobs. They believe in economic opportunity. They believe in upward mobility. They believe in a quality education. They believe in a promising future. And they know that the heavy-handed regulations imposed by the liberal agenda destroys them. Ask the person who comes across the border from Mexico to Texas why they're coming here. They're not coming here to fight global warming, which Barack Obama says is the leading issue in the United States of America and the world. They're coming here for economic opportunity, the kind of economic opportunity that Texas provides. If we have a national leader that starts cutting back on regulations and creating jobs, that's the type of agenda the Hispanic community wants.
Governor Abbott, I got to tell you, you are one of my absolute favorites. I think you're doing the right thing. Just don't let those guys out there influence you too much. Hopefully we'll get you back real soon. Thanks a lot.
All it takes is one Texan to change them all.
Okay, thanks a lot. All right, now back